Coming up on Carolina News. Storm surge. Severe weather strikes South Carolina, causing some damage across the Midlands. But why weather like this won't be here quite as often? The Masters. Why one of the best weeks in golf continues to be one of the best weeks for Columbia's businesses. Professional state. The latest on the status of the Carolina Panthers and if operations relocation to the Palmetto State is near.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Good evening and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Abby Aronson.
And I'm Matt Pumbaka. Severe weather has been sweeping through parts of the Midlands over the past 24 hours.
We'll send it out to Heather Fordham live in the Kennedy Greenhouse with a weather update. Heather?
Guys, yes, as you can see, the weather has been severe. Here is a look at a radar map. You could see all that rain that we've been experiencing last night into the earlier parts of today is making its way out of Columbia, so we won't be experiencing that anymore today. Let's take a look at the damage that we saw last night. Here in Columbia, in someone's backyard, we have some trees that fell on cars as a result of those heavy winds and rains that we saw in the later evening into early this morning. But like I was saying, going into the rest of today, we will not be experiencing anything of that nature as those rains are making their way out of Columbia, and around the Midlands area, we won't be seeing any more rain. We'll be expecting clear skies going into the rest of this evening and into most of tomorrow. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Heather. It's been almost 7 months since Hurricane Florence hit the Carolina coast and poured over 30 inches of rain across the Carolinas. And with hurricane season approaching, our John Romanski went out to discover what we can expect this hurricane season.
This video of Florida shows the sheer destruction that a hurricane leaves in its path. Hurricane Michael slammed the Florida Panhandle 6 months ago as one of 8 hurricanes to form in the 2018 hurricane season. But a new forecast out of Colorado State University predicts just 5 hurricanes in the 2019 season, down from the normal average of 6. Frank Alsheimer, the Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service in Columbia, says the prediction is based on 2 main factors.
One of them, probably the most known, is whether we have El Nino conditions or not, as well as the temperatures in what we call the main development region, which is the stretch of Atlantic Ocean that runs between Africa and the Caribbean.
An El Nino year means we're experiencing upper-level winds in the Earth's atmosphere, which breaks up cloud cover inside the hurricane from the top down. We're also seeing some cooler than usual temperatures. Here along the equator, these temperatures are cooler than we normally would expect, which is preventing the hurricane formation process. On paper, a down year should prevent us from devastating destruction. But the last time the models showed similar weather predictions, it was 1969, and Hurricane Camille was slamming the Gulf Coast. Camille was a Category 5 hurricane, one of 3 to ever hit the United States, and all 3 of those Category 5s hit during El Nino years.
One example, Hurricane Andrew hit during an El Nino year where the Atlantic Basin only produced 7 storms, which is well below normal, but that one was obviously a Category 5 hurricane that devastated parts of South Florida.
And with the history of damaging storms hitting South Carolina, Alsheimer says less hurricanes shouldn't mean less preparedness, because all it takes is one. For Carolina News, I'm John Romanski.
Colorado State University releases hurricane forecasts every April, June, July, and August. Their models increase in accuracy as they get closer to peak hurricane season, between August and October. 95% of all major hurricanes occur after August 1st in that peak time.
Even though the weather has been unpredictable recently, one thing is for certain. Thousands of people from across the U.S. will be flooding to Columbia for the Masters tournament happening later this week. Our Daniel Carter dives into how hotels are dealing with the incoming fans.
The 83rd Annual Masters Golf Tournament is in full swing in Augusta, Georgia, hosting the biggest names in golf such as Tiger Woods, Ricky Fowler, and Bubba Watson, to name a few. For years, the Masters has brought tens of thousands of fans to the Augusta National Country Club and averaging 13 million watching on ESPN and other online sources. With so many people coming to watch the Masters, it is often difficult to find hotels around Augusta. This causes visitors to resort to nearby cities, such as Columbia, located an hour and 15 minutes away from the course. After talking to a few hotel managers around Columbia, reservation directors for hotels such as David Erbacher agreed the Masters is one of the bigger events for these hotels throughout the year.
It's just busy every day with check-ins. Our bar gets really busy over here. So again, we're constantly feeding guests that are traveling in. They visit the, so here it's busier than it normally is.
With Columbia being known as one of the top places for tourists to visit in South Carolina, the Masters is another example of how Columbia is bringing in tourists.
For me, it's something that we see repeat guests every year, but you also get to see new faces and people experience the city in itself, which is really nice.
For Carolina News, I'm Daniel Carter.
The Masters will take place from this Thursday, April 11th to Sunday, April 14th. Tickets for the tournament are ranging from $500 to just over $10,000. A Florida man has been detained following a standoff with Columbia police that lasted several hours. The standoff began when the U.S. task force tried to serve an arrest warrant to Quincy Jenkins at the East Bay Inn and Suites near Gardner Ferry Road around 6 p.m. on Monday. Eventually, at 11:20 p.m., Jenkins was taken into custody. Jenkins is wanted in Hillsbury County, Florida, on warrants for attempted murder and weapons charges. He is currently being held at Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center.
Orangeburg County deputies were able to arrest 2 suspects before they made a getaway from an abandoned home. 20-year-old Donovan Thompson and 22-year-old Angela Nivens are now facing charges of criminal conspiracy and third-degree burglary. Once deputies arrived at the scene, they were able to follow the tracks of the suspects from their vehicle into the abandoned home. Thompson and Nivens were taken into custody and only managed to take around $10 worth of items from the home. The bond is set at $67,000 each. The Lexington County Sheriff's Department arrested a man Sunday in connection with an armed robbery of a convenience store on Longs Pond Road. Jihad Stockdale is being charged with armed robbery and possessing a weapon during a violent crime. Stockdale is said to have fled the scene with an undisclosed amount of cash, but was easily identified by the store clerk, as Stockdale used to work at the store. Stockdale was arrested a short distance from the store and is being held in the Lexington County Detention Center.
A California Uber driver has been arrested for breaking into a home in San Mateo after dropping off the home's residents at the airport. Jackie Wilson was caught by a resident's Ring security camera along with neighbors identifying him as an Uber and passing along the plates to San Mateo Police Department. Uber released a statement saying, "We removed the driver's access to the app as soon as we were made aware of the allegations and stand ready to assist police in their investigation." It's been a little over a week since USC's Samantha Josephson was murdered. Reporter Maggie Marshall spent some time with the residents recently in Clarendon County, where Josephson's body was found.
Known all these people for a long time. They're really good people. Don't know, what must have gone wrong.
Benton Blakely has been a resident of the New Zion community for 73 years.
It's a great place to live. It's called, it's God's country.
And can't understand how Samantha Josephson's body ended up in what he calls God's country.
Everyone knows everyone, and things like this happen. When it happens, it kind of puts everyone on edge. They don't know what's coming next.
Josephson's body was found by turkey hunters in late March in these woods off of Black Bottom Road, all the way in New Zion. That's about 66 miles away. Off the beaten path around this area is where Samantha Josephson's body was found. And it's an area Blakely says no one really knows but a few people.
People live on one end of it, and they travel in and out every day. But to come all the way back through here, the road's in pretty bad shape in here, so you would try to avoid that, if necessary.
Police say 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland is the main suspect in connection to Josephson's murder. His family spoke off camera saying his grandmother lived less than a mile away from where Josephson was found. Members of the New Zion community and officials are trying to put the pieces together to figure out how this could happen in their quiet community.
I don't, there's not a whole lot of hope. I hope that the family can get by this. I don't see how it's possible, but you don't ever want to see you don't ever want to lose a child. Maybe the sickness you can accept, but something like this, it's just something you can't deal with.
For Carolina News, I'm Maggie Marshall.
Officials are still actively investigating this case, and the University of South Carolina just announced that Samantha Josephson will receive a posthumous degree. President Pastides confirmed her parents will be coming to Columbia for the ceremony. He said to them, "We'll be there waiting for you."
Coming up next on Carolina News, the latest update with the Carolina Panthers and if and when they will bring some operations here to the Palmetto State.